Hello everyone, Zeldarinth here, and for today's video on Umamusume, as Libra Cup is getting ready to start round 2, I thought now would be a great time to talk about the next TM that will be starting here within the next couple of weeks, which is Libra Cup, as you're going to be wanting to be working on your parents right now with independent training, as you're currently running your aces through Virgo Cup. And so with that, we'll just go ahead and take a quick look at it as like an early look to see what we can expect with this. Now, with Libra Cup, unlike the prior Libra Cup, which was a long race, this one is actually going to be a mile race. Well, everything, I think this one's going to be overall a lot better for a lot of people with Grand Live. As the current one, Virgo Cup's kind of been a pain in the butt, being a medium, but not only a medium, but also dirt. I mean, it's just basically become Copano slash Christmas XOguri Cup. But with Libra, we're finally going to be able to pretty much use most Umas that can do miles here, as this one's going to be very Oshi friendly. Going back to the Hanshin Turf, which is 1600 mile, it's going to be right-handed, firm, autumn, and cloudy. And so one of the things with Hanshin, if you kind of remember all the times we've kind of raced on it, one of the big things when you look at it is this downhill here. It's usually in a good positioning overall in most of the tracks that it is taken into consideration to some extent, and this one's going to be no different. So this downhill on it creates a lot of opportunity for a lot of Umas to do quite well with it. But not only that being a mile, it's your typical Umas that are going to be kind of strong on it. Of course, your front runners are going to have it with us starting on a corner. They have angling and scheming. But also you potentially could gamble with an unrestrained here or final push for some extra acceleration helping out your front runners. With the downhill, you have Determined Descent from the Nishino Flower card to kind of give you one of those gamble excels, alongside, of course, Taiki Shuttle's alt that can have a little bit carried over. On Taiki Shuttle herself, Nishino, not really a good inherit in that respect, though, as the time, it doesn't have enough time that it lasts. We see that all the time where it works on the Uma, but the inherit just simply doesn't last long enough. Nishino Flowers will, though, work very well on your pace chasers here. Of course, you have like neck and neck head on with its buffs being very good. Same thing with your late surgers with on your left and all that. Although I will say Furious Feet, while it is an option because it is a mile for your late surgers, that is one of the few skills that did not get buffed. So it is a it is one of those gambles, but it's the old way of gambling, which makes it a way bigger gamble. It's not the first half like we see now with like neck and neck. And on your left, but it is a potential one you could throw on your Uma, or if they already have it built in, I believe Vodka, you might as well take it as it is another potential excel there. The only ones that are going to struggle a little bit here are going to be your end closers, as the straightaway is quite far away. But I mean, you have some of your more frontward or late surger excels, like Let's Pump Some Iron, that you could kind of utilize. You just need a really strong end closer to pull it off. But the biggest thing with end closers, though, is there is one Uma that will actually be fairly strong in this one as a end closer. As we can see here, this is the carrot calculator and kind of a little bit of a guide based on analysis of like JP Korean, and now kind of trying to be updated a little bit, taking into consideration that we have early buffs on it. But XOguri Cap, Xmas XOguri Cap is once again very strong here. Now, she's a little bit different in that she's not going to be as consistent, so don't worry. She's not going to dominate like we have currently in Virgo Cup. But Christmas XOguri Cap can get acceleration as an end closer using After School Stroll. That is the downhill heal. And so basically you can take like straightaway recovery, corner recovery, 777, and then you have After School Stroll. Take only 3 at this point, because if you take 4, you could potentially activate early, like if you have corner recovery, straightaway recovery, 777, and downhill. You could activate a little bit too early at 777, and thus not get your acceleration down here. So you only want to take 3. That's what's going to make it a little bit less consistent on getting that gamble off. So you'll still also want to take the other things like Let's Pump Some Iron and all that can also work. But if you have high enough wit, of course, it's going to work about 70-ish% of the time, which makes her very strong. But not strong enough, in my opinion, that this is going to be as debuff heavy in the respect you go all in on a Christmas XOguri Cap and then bring, like, and here being a mile, you could bring Keen Eye and Dominator, have your 2 speed ones. I would not go all in on debuffers with the Christmas XOguri Cap in the same way, but she does work, and you can just pair her with like pace chasers or front runners in that respect. And As you kind of see here, the same thing. I feel like every position can work, though. It'll be a lot harder on the enclosures, but you can make them work. They just need to be very strong on their push forward to kind of take advantage of the same things you can expect even from the pace chasers. But you definitely would, if you're building an enclosure, want to pair them with somebody more towards the front, like 2 front runners or 2 pace chasers or whatever your conditions are there. I mean, of course, Nishino Flower, Taiki Shuttle going to be your strongest here, but all the pace chasers work. A new one coming out, Seeking the Pearl, will be interesting to try out. Although since we don't have evolutions early, only one of her golds works on mile, the other's only a sprint. But to me, I feel like this one kind of downplays the front runners. I feel like front runners will be back to being very strong here. Now, when it comes to kind of looking at the kind of decks that you might want to build for this, being a mile and depending on what your deck looks like now, you've got a lot of options. Of course, Agnes Tachyon speed being very, very strong here. Summer Maduzensky, of course, for a stat stick / being your the Leader's Pride Gold, whatever it's called, on your front runners. But being unrestrained, being good, an option you have, especially if you're a little bit more of a whalish, which I wouldn't even consider this deck all that whalish. But if you've lucked into some speed Silent Suzuka's off banner to get the 1 skill point bonus at Limit Break 1, you can pair speed Suzuka with speed Maduzensky, borrow Taiki Shuttle speed, and then of course you're going to use Fine Motion. And then the one thing that will suck trying to build your front runners, you're going to want to absolutely bring Mihono Bourbon Wit. That gives you both your concentration, but also taking the lead. Very, very useful for your front runners. And then, of course, Light Hello. I mean, this one's not as whaley of a deck as they call it. It's kind of, did you luck into Silent Suzuka? Since she was a day 1 speed card, I know a lot of people have just gotten random copies of her through pulling on other banners. Else, of course, you just take your Agnes Tachyon. This is the funny thing, you are ditching Agnes Tachyon if you're building your front runner in this kind of deck. But she does make up for it. She does have skill point. She is a link max, just like Agnes Tachyon. Not quite as strong. You're going to need a high roll a little bit more, but Unrestrained is very, very good, and that is absolutely worth it. You just need a high roll here. Else, you just take your Agnes Tachyon, of course. Looking at your kind of pace is kind of a similar situation, except now you absolutely want to have your Nishino Flower Wit. If you don't have her yourself, you're going to want to go ahead and borrow her. Hopefully, alongside Fine Motion, you have her. But then you have, of course, your Light Hello, Edis on Black, which you should have. Hopefully, if not, maybe you have Maduzensky, but then absolutely should have Agnes Tachyon speed for pace chasers here. For your backliners, Daichi Ruby, she is not currently out yet, but she's the big card having a very good gold that can have help you push towards the end. Pretty much a must-have in that respect. Luckily, you're not looking at too difficult of a deck to build. If you planned out for end closers, of course, Mr. CB would be a card that hopefully you have at least 1 copy of to use her alongside your own Fine Motion. And then you have to deal with 2 speed cards. So this one will, if you are going to go the end closer route with Christmas Ogre Cap or anyone else, it will be, you're pretty much going for a high roll regardless because you are bringing a power card. But alongside bringing a power card, you're going to basically should be able to max speed and power. This is a mile. This is not a medium. And we're not going to be seeing, well, theoretically, people could bring Mystifying Murmur. It's not going to be something so prevalent that you want to take it into consideration at all. If anything, what we'll see debuff-wise is almost certainly going to be Keen Eye and Dominator. Keen Eye working on miles in the early race, and then Gold Ship will activate Dominate, or Gold Ship Alt will activate the Dominate later. And so having that actually high power will be really good on your end closers overall. And being in the back, you're more likely to avoid it. But I feel like this is going to be an overall... this one is going to be an overall pretty good track for a lot of people. I know that people struggled with the last one. Even, like, I lucked into my Christmas Ogre Cap on the last one, so I have not been able to fully experience the pain of Grand Live yet, even though I know how painful it will be when I start working on 3 aces versus trying to build just 1. But luckily, we don't have the stamina problems, and if you're kind of building outside late and end, you get to play with, and you're not going for like that super high roll, you do get to bring 3 speed cards, which will definitely make getting your speed cap easier, getting your power really high a lot easier, alongside your highest thing, trying to get your wit as high as possible. because this one does have the downhills, of course, right here. Now, it is very late in it, and it's more so for taking off here, but still, overall, quite important to think about. But that's going to be pretty much it. I may make a follow-up video. I haven't really been making them on a lot of the CMs, going more into depth on skills. But one to just kind of note here, that can give you quite a bit of an advantage if you can get it built in. It's not going to be very easy. Now, there's a lot of other skills. I've kind of hinted on, like, the Excel ones. But this one is one in particular that'll be really good because of the downhills. Is that the downhill speedster, but it is very hard to get, as it is only on the winning ticket Steampunk, Yukino Bijin, who just came out, and Major Dober Camping. So you have to build it into your parent chain to inherit it through that way, unless you're building one of these 3. And just kind of looking out there, there's really not much. It's very slim pickings. I mean, if you want to just cope with a grandparent that has it, you can go with the Stamina 2 Turf 2 that has it as a 3-star, but you're missing so much else on her. Personally, there is this Yukino Bijin out here that I find that's pretty decent as a great grandparent. The thing is, great grandparent. It's going to take you some time to get that parent, but does have downhill speedster with head-on, ignited wit, nimble nav, Umastan, racing spirit stamina. Playtime's over. Overall, really good great grandparent. I'll probably start using this one to just grind in downhill speedster into some great grandparents. Not to me, I feel like so many people are not going to have it. It's not going to be too much of a worry. But if you have one of these Umas, it might be something you might look at if you want to try and use independent training to get it built into your chain to try and give you a little bit of an advantage. There's a ton of other skills, of course, that'll work. I'll probably make a follow-up video here, maybe like a week, on actually building the ace and those actual, like, all of the skills you're looking at versus just kind of this generic overview. But that's going to be it for now on this video. And if you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.